It all started with a very simple idea. Tell the stories of how successful middle market CEOs made it to the corner office. I'm Brant Handley, founder and managing director of Resource Options International, or ROI. We're the USA's premier executive search firm focused exclusively on empowering middle market companies to attract, hire, and retain A players while transforming top executives' careers and lives. ROI's Into the Corner office is dedicated to discovering how middle market CEOs advance their career, and we're making these remarkable and sometimes quite unbelievable stories available to you for the very first time. Listen and learn about the challenges they've overcome, the interesting people they've met along the way, and the lessons learned that steered these executives' unique journey into a middle market corner office of their own. I know you enjoy these CEO stories as much as I've enjoyed recording them. So thank you for listening today. And if you like what you've heard, rate us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm looking forward to you joining me on the next great middle market CEO adventure into the corner office. Joining me on the program today is Aaron Steed. He's president, co-founder, and CEO of Meathead Movers. He founded the company back when he was 17 years old with his brother Evan, and he has an open-door style of management much more similar to that of a coach than a CEO. He's also well known for being happily available to assist his employees at their jobs or in their personal lives. His mission is to assist former and current athletes to achieve their goals by providing them with a flexible and educational workplace where they can earn money and help support their education or their outside jobs. They have been noted for 7 years as one of Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies. They've hauled more than 200,000 square foot of mini storage, have 100 trucks, and do about 20,000 moves a year. Aaron Steed, welcome into the corner office.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Great to have you here. And I'm jealous you're out in sunny California and I'm in cold New York today, but at least we both have sunshine and I hope the rains have stopped a bit. What's the weather been like the last couple of days?
Yeah, it's drying up a bit. The hills are green and
Nice.
Air is fresh, so no complaints here.
Lovely. Well, Aaron's located, I think, in beautiful San Luis Obispo. Is that right? Is that your home?
Correct.
Awesome. Well, we always like to kind of start the podcast with hearing a little bit about your early days, Aaron. And I know that the business that we'll be talking about is actually something that you and your brother have created out of a labor of love. So I'm sure he's played an important role. But tell us a little bit about what your early days were like, your family, brothers and sisters.
Sure. So my brother and I, we started the business when we were I was 17, he was 15, and we grew up here going to San Luis Obispo High School.
Awesome.
Yep.
Just the two of you? Any brothers? Any other sisters or brothers?
We have half brothers and sisters.
Okay,
My
cool.
parents separated and both ended up having additional families.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Neither of them are involved in the business, though.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, did you have a mixed family from fairly early on, or were you teenagers when your mom and dad split?
Yeah, so I was 5, my brother was 3.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when we became teenagers is when they started having other children.
Yeah, got it. Cool. Terrific. And grew up in San Luis Obispo County, it sounds like. Who were some of the early influencers in your life, kind of pre the business and, your teenage years? I know we don't have a whole lot of time because you guys got started pretty early on this one, but, were there coaches, were there folks that in your life that, kind of had an input beyond your parents?
Yeah, I'd say there are 2 major influences, actually 3 probably. First and foremost was my wrestling coach, Rob Nieto. He took me under his wing. He really coached me through how to push through my personal limits and believed in me and worked really hard to develop me athletically with the wrestling program. I would also say Mrs. Avery, who was an honors English teacher. She was known as the hardest teacher at the high school. And I never really got good grades, but I really applied myself in her class. She pushed me. She believed in me. And
That's awesome.
I just wanted to perform well for her. And that's when I started developing confidence as a student, really by.
And what grade was that? Was that like freshman year or a little earlier or later?
That was my freshman year in high school.
Wow. Well, shout out to Mrs. Avery. How cool is that?
She's amazing.
Yeah. Super.
And then I'd also have to say the Martinez family. And me and Dan Martinez wrestled together, and we're wrestling partners, and his family took me under their wing, and we traveled all around the state and the country, competing in tournaments, and they just folded me into their family, and I'm unbelievably grateful to them, and will always be. Yeah.
And when did you start wrestling? Was that still in elementary school, more high school, junior high?
Yeah, when I was a freshman in high school.
Nice. Yeah. So a lot of state competitions or all over the different counties and so forth. Great.
Yep.
And mom and dad, did they have degrees? And stepmom and stepdad. I mean, how, kind of what was their background as you were growing up?
Yeah. So my dad's a chiropractor, and mom is a stay-at-home housewife.
Yeah.
And I think they're proud of what we've been able to do, and they haven't really been too involved in the business, though.
Awesome. So, yeah. And your parents, sounds like you were quite young. Did you spend time with both? Did your other parents stay in the area, kind of go back and forth during that period, or was it kind of more of a summers with dad and school years with mom type of thing?
Yeah, it was a back and forth, and it changed throughout the years. Awesome. But they were both stayed here within the same community, so we didn't have to do too much traveling.
Yeah. So you saw a lot of both of them. Terrific. Great. And you mentioned maybe you weren't the best student, at least in Mrs. Avery's class. Were you a good student overall?
I wouldn't say good student. I was probably more of a C+ student.
Yeah.
And I just, frankly, didn't care. I didn't see how it applied to what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
My primary focus was wrestling, and it really, my motivation was directly correlated with the connection and respect I had for my teachers.
Right, of course. Yeah, sure. Did well in the classes that obviously the teachers were motivating and obviously an interesting subject, and didn't care less about the ones that weren't.
Basically.
Would sum it up. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I know that feeling. No, I know that feeling. What about outside of class? You mentioned, obviously wrestling was a big part of what you were doing. And did your brother do that too? Was he also a wrestler and compete with you?
He did. Yeah. His, I think, passion was definitely football, though.
Right.
Yeah. So he was more into that.
Down that path. Right. Cool. And anything else? Any other sports that you excelled at? Music, theater, any other types of things that you enjoyed or got involved with during your high school years?
No, not really. Yeah. Everything just primarily focused for me around wrestling, and I ran across country and I swam, all just to get in shape for that sport. I was fully committed to it.
Yeah. Awesome. It does take a lot. And was it kind of the weekend tournaments where you'd get up like at 5, 6 in the morning and travel 2 or 3 hours, or was it kind of weekends away? What was the kind of the daily routine when you were both training as well as competing?
Oh gosh. Everything all and above. We did several national competitions and competed in the Midwest, wrestled internationally.
Wow. Even internationally? Over to Europe or Mexico, or where'd you go?
So I was fortunate enough to make the national team, and we had some folks from Finland and Germany, and I believe Belgium come and compete against us, and we did a duel, and it was a really exciting experience. But mostly it was us doing the weekend warrior thing, take off super early in the morning, and then get back super late.
Day trips, right, all over the state. Awesome. Yep. And let's focus a little bit about entrepreneurial. I know you got Meathead Movers, and we're going to talk about that in a minute when you guys were just teenagers. But what about before that? Did you have the ubiquitous paper route? Were you involved in, other things that were making money? Was that kind of part of your focus in, your single digit years in junior high before you got into your passion?
Yeah, actually, I did have a paper route when I was in junior high. And I would do it on my rollerblades too, which was a great workout.
I love it. That's great.
So I'd skate around and throw out the papers. And it's funny because I have a house now in the same neighborhood where I did my paper route.
Right.
So still, some of the
same people are there. Yeah. Great.
Exactly.
Was it the kind of paper route where you threw it out free and then had to go collect the money, or was
totally.
it a paper? Yeah. Right. I remember those days.
Right.
So it was really all about customer service, wasn't it?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and you didn't deliver that one on the porch. It was going in the bush. You had no hope of collecting any money from them.
Yeah, without tips, I think my aggregate hourly rate was probably about 35 cents an hour. So I try not
it.
thinking about that, but obviously
Sure.
would work hard for the tip.
Absolutely. Yeah. Particularly at Christmas time and, hey, it's my birthday this month. Anything extra?
Exactly. Wear clothes with holes in them. Or,
Look as ratty as you can.
Yeah. Ask if they had an apple because I was hungry. I don't know. Whatever it takes.
That's great. I got to remember that one. Oh, I love it. What about other jobs? Before you got your company going, were there jobs that you held at all after school during those periods, or pretty much transition from entrepreneurial to your own company?
Yeah, so I knew I needed to start making money because going to these tournaments was expensive. So I didn't have a car, and during one summer, my dad would take me into his office, and right next door to his office was the car wash.
Ah, cool.
So I figured, hey, the car wash will hire me. So went there, got hired, and I was the guy who, right when you pull up into the car wash, the guys who have that really hoarse yellow scrub brush and they're scrubbing the front of your car as the salesperson is negotiating, and the salesperson makes money on commissions and whatnot, and
right.
There's also the folks who are drying the cars, they're the ones who get the tips, but
Sure.
me, I'm just getting insects all over my face and under my fingernails.
And about $5 an hour, probably.
$4.25 was the minimum wage back then. So I worked for 2 weeks and got my paycheck, and I think it was $67 or something after taxes. Just brutal. And granted, I wasn't working all the time, but whenever I could, and I just realized, oh my gosh,
Hardly
this isn't worth it. I got to figure something else out.
Got it. Cool. And did you